The Lord of the Rings Online, or LOTRO, is an MMORPG released in 2007 and remains, in my humble opinion, one of the best adaptations of Tolkien's world. In this video, I will try to show you the hidden or not so hidden details that make the world of LOTRO so immersive and lively. In the last video, the Fellowship traveled through the Great River region and went past the Brownlands. This means that the Fellowship has reached what in-game is called Eastern Rohan, released in the Riders of Rohan expansion in 2012. This region is divided into several sub-regions, containing quite a bit of content. Due to the addition of mounted combat, which greatly increased the player movement speed, the sheer amount of land to explore became very large in this area. I have decided, just like with the Moria videos, to split the episodes on East Rohan into two different sections. This first video will once again cover the direct path of the Fellowship through these areas, whereas the second video will focus on the additional details hidden in quests and landmarks. So, let's dive into the lands of the Horse Lords. But first, I have a small mistake I need to rectify. In the previous video I mentioned the Fellowship rested on a small eyot in the river just beyond the Brownlands. It turns out I made a small mistake. This eyot is present further down the river. In the books, the river is described as becoming a bit shallow beyond the Brownlands. This area is called the South Undeep in the game, and the Fellowship reaches it before they spend the night on the eyot. At this place, the most downstream islet has a smoldering campfire on it. This fire is not mentioned in any quests in the game, and no enemies spawn on it either. Therefore it's highly likely that this is the actual place where Sam and Frodo discussed their observations regarding Gollum, even though I doubt the Fellowship would risk making such a large fire, so this theory is not completely bulletproof. The Fellowship continues paddling, but their progress was more substantial than Aragorn had realized. In the night, they see black shapes ahead in the dark, and they have reached the dangerous rapids of Sarn Gebir, which no boat may survive according to Boromir. The Fellowship paddles against the current as fast as they can, when arrows come flying from the eastern bank. Thanks to the treachery of Gollum, the enemy has found them. With a little luck, and Frodo's mithril shirt, the Fellowship manages to pull their boats ashore just before the rapids. It is at this moment that Legolas shoots down a Nazgul from the sky. The fell beast must have fallen very far to land at the spot where we saw it in the previous video, or Legolas' shot is even more exceptional than it already seemed. Finding their way on the water blocked, Aragorn and Legolas set out to find the old portage way, which was used to carry boats around the rapids by land. This road still exists as a winding stony pathway running along a rock wall, dotted with briars and fallen stones. The path leads to a small pool that seems scooped out of the side of the river, eroded by the water hitting a low pier of rock jutting into the water. Beyond it rose sheer cliffs of rock, and no further passage was possible on foot. This area is really well replicated in the game, and the rapids themselves look incredibly dangerous, and swimming into them instantly kills your character. As you were able to see, the old portage way and scooped out pool are also present, all the way down to the impenetrable rock wall surrounding it. After taking a night's rest, the Fellowship continues their journey on the river. Soon they pass the Argonath, two great pillars hewn in the shape of stern kings. Their left hand was held out with its palm forward. In their right hand was an axe, and on their heads a helm and a crown. They were built in the likeness of Isildur and Anarion, and the Fellowship marveled at them as their boats floated by like frail and fleeting leaves on a stream. Beyond the Pillars of Kings, the river spreads out into a wide pool called Nen Hithoel, meaning water of mist. At the far end of the lake, the river drops over the cliffs as a huge waterfall called the Falls of Rauros. In the middle of the falls stands an island called Tol Brandir, or the Tinned Rock. An island with such sheer rock faces it is said no man or beast ever managed to set foot on it. On either side of the falls, the hills of Amon Lau, home to the seat of hearing, and Amon Hen, home to the seat of seeing, could be found. In the game, only Amon Hen can be visited. Amon Lau is filled with orcs, and there is no gameplay related reason to visit it at the moment. All these landmarks are very faithfully adapted into the game. Especially the Argonath are awe-inspiring to look at. The Fellowship paddles over Nen Hithoel and arrives at a green lawn running from the feet of Amon Hen to the shores of the lake. It is called Parth Galen, or Green Sword in Elvish, and this is the place where the Fellowship must decide which route they will take to Mordor. To the east, a more secret but dangerous route directly towards the Black Gate, or westwards towards the White City of Gondor, a well-defended but potentially inescapable trap. This event can be witnessed in several session instances inside the game, where you see the events unfold through the eyes of other characters. I will show you a synopsis from each session instance, so you can see the attention to detail present in the game on this event. In the first instance, the Fellowship has just settled at Parth Galen, and Aragorn informs them the moment has arrived to decide on the route they must take. Frodo is given the burden of choice, and has 1 hour to make up his mind. Lost in his thoughts, he climbs up the stairs to Amon Hen, and at the top he meets Boromir, who, after pleading to take the ring to Minas Tirith, tries to take it by force. Frodo puts on the ring and escapes uphill, where he feels Sauron's gaze as he nearly reveals the ring to the Dark Lord. In the end, Frodo ponders his options on top of the Hill of Seeing. The second instance follows the same narrative, but from Boromir's perspective. After discussing with Aragorn, you travel as Boromir up the hill searching for Frodo. Anger overtakes you as you try to gain the ring from him, provoking Frodo to don the ring and disappear. You return to camp and explain what happened, upon which Merry and Pippin and the others immediately start looking for Frodo. The Fellowship is getting scattered. Boromir may have given in to his weakness, but in the third instance his great strength will be shown, as well as his redemption. Aragorn charges him with rescuing Merry and Pippin, while he searches for Frodo together with Sam. Boromir finds the two hobbits and kills the Uruk that assails them. Waves upon waves of elite Uruk-hai swarm Boromir, who grows more and more tired as he cuts down bundles of them. His might is ended in an instant, as Merry and Pippin watch him get pierced with many black arrows. He collapses, right as the two hobbits make a last stand against the Uruks. In the final instance, you witness Boromir's return to camp and the scattering of the Fellowship, as Sam. You follow Aragorn into the hills, and quickly, using your hobbit sense, you grasp Frodo's mind, seemingly better than everyone else. You race back to the boats and try to swim out to Frodo, who pulls you aboard. After scolding you for throwing off his plans of going to Mordor alone, Frodo agrees to go together. In these instances, you get a very clear view of the breaking of the Fellowship, even witnessing some moments that are not seen in a first-person perspective in the books themselves. As a player character, you find many signs of this event. Elven arrows are stuck in a tree nearby. A huge pile of dead Uruks lie in a glade where a big bloodstain can be found on the tree where Boromir breathed his last breath. A discarded pack can be found, which Aragorn, Legolas and Gimli left behind. And finally, the last boat can be found hidden next to the stream, containing the supplies that were no longer necessary. This area is also very accurately portrayed, a long green lawn with a spring of water flowing through it. A fine detail is that Aragorn can clearly be seen carrying the newly reforged Anduril on his side. Finally, the dialogue that's said during all these instances is very similar to the text written in the Lord of the Rings books by Tolkien himself. With this moment in the video series, we've reached a small milestone. We've finished the final chapter of the Fellowship of the Ring. So now we will start with the Fellowship's journey as it begins in the Two Towers. After Boromir's burial, Aragorn decides that the fate of the ring is no longer in his hands. Their new purpose will be to rescue Merry and Pippin from torment and death by the Uruk-hai. After hiding the last boat with some of their supplies, they set off westwards towards the steep mountain faces of the western Emyn-Muil. After following the trail of the Uruk stampede, they find 5 orc bodies, which they correctly interpret as a sign of unrest among the orc groups. They follow the trail to a stony ridge, looking out across the east eminence of Rohan. In the game, the path of the Uruk-hai is hard to follow from the glade where they kill Boromir. A pile of orc bodies can be found, which as far as I could find was not part of any quest or story instance, but the amount of bodies present is way larger than the 5 bodies reported in the book. In-game, the Uruk-hai continue on past a group of Rohirrim setting up a camp. This camp is called Mansik's encampment in-game, and the testimonies of the Rohirrim there show that this is the place where the band of Uruks must have entered Rohan. Beyond the ridge, the path descends into a very narrow stair down to the plains of Rohan. Next to the path, a stream rushes down, and it flows peacefully between green tunnels of grasses and water plants down into the plains of Rohan. The 3 hunters start their full pursuit of the Uruks, and this is where following the exact path becomes a bit difficult. In the books, their trail is easily found. They leave a path of trampled and blackened grass, along with the occasional bit of litter, like old bread rinds. Here Aragorn finds one of the clasps of the elven cloaks the hobbits carry, which was dropped by Pippin while he was running along the Uruks. In-game, no such trail can be found. There are small discolorations in the grass, but nothing that discerns the exact locations the Uruks travel past. From the books it is clear that the path ran towards the northwest of the plains, and then along the ridges of the hills towards Fangorn. It is also impossible to exactly discern where the hunters met with Eomer, a moment which is quite accurately portrayed in the films. It is somewhere near a green hill in the area called the Entwash Vale in the game, but I could not find anything pointing towards an exact location. Either the game developers did not add any details of the path of the Uruks, or Aragorn is truly a much greater tracker than our player character. Ultimately, the Uruk-hai are of course destroyed by Eomer and his company. You can find the pyre of the Uruk-hai with Ugluk's intact body before the eaves of Fangorn. Small hobbit footprints are present as well, hinting at their escape. At this moment, the book text jumps to the perspective of Merry and Pippin, who fled into Fangorn Forest. They travel along the Entwash River and take a moment to parch their thirst. They sit on a great tree root extending into the water and wash their feet and their throats. They see a glint of sunlight in the distance of the damp and dark forest and go towards it. They come upon a steep hill with what seems like great uneven natural staircases wandering up to the top. They climb up this bald hill dotted with grasses and weeds and set themselves on an old tree stump to gaze at the sun. This stump is none other than Treebeard himself, and in the session instance where you can witness this meeting, the dialogue very accurately reflects their conversation. After this meeting, Treebeard takes the hobbits deeper into the forest and out of the scope of this video. We will return to them in the next one. Unfortunately, while there is a session instance in the game where you can witness this interaction, it cannot be replayed at the moment, so I cannot show you any footage of it. Fangorn Forest itself is described as having a damp and pressing atmosphere, but the hobbits also found it quite pretty in the sunlight. All the trees are draped in long wagging beards of lichen, and so it is in the game as well. It is a very special place to travel to, and a marvelous adaptation. Footprints left by the hobbits can also be found along the Entwash River. After resting near the pyre made by Eomer, Aragorn quickly finds the hobbits' trail in the daylight, and the three hunters follow their quarry into Fangorn. Soon they come to the hill where Merry and Pippin met Treebeard, and Aragorn tries to decipher the trail as it devolves into huge ant feet. Here they meet Gandalf the White, with who they catch up on their past adventures. They also hear from him how he overcame the Balrog in Moria and how he ended up in the same place as they are now. He explains the two hobbits met with Treebeard and are now safe. Together with Gandalf, the three hunters make for the Golden Hall of Meduseld in the city of Edoras. Gandalf calls his new horse Shadowfax to him, and the four of them cross the Entwash at a shallow part just beyond the forest and head to the West Emnet and to war. Gandalf the White can actually be found on the hill in-game, and he will give you a few quests and explain to you where the hobbits have gone. The shallow place where the four travelers cross the Entwash is also present, just in front of Fangorn Forest. Thank you for watching this video. We have now reached a complicated part of the story, where many paths diverge. From now on, I will most likely follow Aragorn's journey, as it correlates quite closely with the order of content releases of LOTRO. Many of the places that Frodo and Sam pass through are highly sequestered or not even present in the game yet. I will spend some time trying to figure out how to deal with this, but for now we still have a lot of game to get through. I was in doubt whether I should cover the upcoming Before the Shadow content with these detailed videos, but I fear I would never see the path of the Fellowship through if I cover every new piece of content. I am planning on streaming the expansion when it comes out, since I highly enjoyed the first stream I did a few weeks ago. You can follow me at this Twitch address to know when I am live. I leave you now with this marvelous view from the top of Amon Hen, and I will see you in the next video where we dive into the other details of Eastern Rohan.